How I Became a Lesbian. They say the heart knows no bounds, and love finds you in the most unexpected places. If someone had told me 10 years ago that my life would unfold like this, I would have dismissed it as the ramblings of an idle diviner. But life, like the winding roads of my village, has a way of leading us to places we never imagined. Let me tell you my story. Growing up in Amokohia. I grew up in Amokohia, a small village nestled in the lush hills of Enugu State. Life there was simple and steeped in tradition. I was the third daughter in a family of 6, and like every Igbo girl, I was raised with the expectation of marrying well and making my family proud. My father, a strict but loving man, often reminded me of the importance of carrying on our lineage. My mother, on the other hand, believed in the power of hard work and education. She ensured that all her daughters attended school, even when other families in the village thought it unnecessary for girls. Despite their forward-thinking nature in some areas, the idea of love and marriage was rigid. Love was meant to be between a man and a woman, blessed by the elders, and solidified with bride price and a grand ceremony. I accepted this as truth, until I met Chidinma. Chidinma, the stranger in the village. Chidinma arrived in Amokohia like a gust of harmattan wind, sudden, refreshing, and unforgettable. She was a relative of our local teacher and had come from Lagos to stay with him for a while. She stood out immediately with her short, curly hair and bold demeanor. She didn't wear wrappers like the rest of us but dressed in trousers and shirts that hugged her slender frame. At first, the villagers whispered about her. Some said she was too bold for her own good, while others admired her confidence. I was fascinated. One afternoon, as I walked home from fetching water at the stream, I saw her sitting under a mango tree, sketching. She called out to me, her voice warm and inviting. "Bia, Nni. Do you want to see what I'm drawing?" Curiosity got the better of me, and I approached her. She showed me a beautiful pencil sketch of the stream I had just left, capturing its every detail. From that moment, Chidinma and I became inseparable. A friendship like no other. Chidinma introduced me to a world I had never known. She spoke of books, art, and ideas that felt so foreign yet so captivating. We spent countless afternoons together, exploring the hills, reading under the shade of trees, and sharing stories about our lives. She told me about Lagos, the bustling streets, the vibrant art scene, and her dreams of becoming an artist. I shared my own dreams of becoming a teacher and my fears of being married off to someone I barely knew. One evening, as we watched the sun set over the hills, she turned to me and said, "Edeora, you deserve to live a life that makes you happy, not one that pleases others." Her words stirred something deep within me, but I didn't fully understand it then. The night that changed everything. It was the night of the New Yam Festival, a time of celebration and joy. The entire village gathered in the square, dancing, eating, and making merry. Chidinma and I sat together, laughing and enjoying the festivities. As the night wore on, she took my hand and led me away from the crowd to a quiet spot by the river. The moonlight danced on the water, and the air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers. "I need to tell you something," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I think I'm in love with you." Her words took my breath away. I had never considered such a possibility, yet her confession felt right, like a puzzle piece falling into place. Before I could respond, she leaned in and kissed me. It was soft, tentative, and unlike anything I had ever experienced. My heart raced, not with fear but with exhilaration. The backlash. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions. I felt alive in a way I never had before, but I also knew the path ahead would not be easy. In a village as traditional as ours, relationships like ours were not just frowned upon, they were unthinkable. One afternoon, my younger sister caught us holding hands and told my mother. The confrontation that followed was explosive. My father was furious, accusing Chidinma of corrupting me, while my mother wept and begged me to come back to my senses. Chidinma was asked to leave the village, and I was forbidden from seeing her. For weeks, I felt like a bird trapped in a cage, my wings clipped. Choosing myself. It took months of reflection and heartache, but I eventually found the courage to choose myself. With my mother's reluctant blessing, I left the village and joined Chidinma in Lagos. It wasn't an easy decision, leaving my family, my home, and everything I had known. But deep down, I knew it was the right one. In Lagos, I found a community of people who embraced love in all its forms. Chidinma and I built a life together, filled with art, laughter, and dreams. I also pursued my goal of becoming a teacher, working with young girls to help them realize their potential. Coming full circle. Years later, I returned to Amokohia for my father's funeral. I was nervous, unsure of how I would be received. To my surprise, time had softened many hearts. My siblings welcomed me warmly, and even my mother, though reserved, seemed to have come to terms with my choices. Chidinma stayed by my side throughout it all, her presence a reminder of the courage it took to live authentically. Love is love. Looking back, I realized that becoming a lesbian wasn't a choice, it was simply discovering who I truly was. Chidinma didn't just show me love, she showed me freedom, the kind that comes from living truthfully. Love, I've learned, knows no boundaries, not of culture, tradition, or gender. And for that, I will always be grateful.